What is up? We're back with another video breaking down another thing, which is Secret Invasions, which was announced at the Disney Investors Day meeting.
Right.
Um, Starring Sam Jackson and Ben
No
Mendelsohn.
worries.
We're like 10 videos in for the day. It's crazy. So bear with me. It's about a sect of Skrulls essentially that have infiltrated every sect of life on Earth.
Mhm.
Um, and this has been a storyline that people thought was going to be started in Captain Marvel, but they kind of did a twist on it.
Right.
Now it seems like the Skrulls that Captain Marvel met are much different than these Skrulls here that are invading Earth,
Right.
or infiltrating Earth, I should say. How do you think this is going to set up the future of the MCU? Because it seems like a pretty monumental thing.
Right.
And what was your thoughts when you heard about this series?
I don't know. I feel like one, TV is a better method to explore the secret invasion. Like I know I was one of the people that was like, oh, Captain Marvel like dropped the ball on the potential of a secret invasion. But I'm like, what, TV could be a better way to help like adapt the storyline. Um, this is probably gonna be. I feel like it has to be like one of the longer Marvel series. Hell, it has to be one of the longer Disney Plus shows, just because like to order to like capture the energy of Secret Invasion, you need to show like multiple characters have been like body snatched or whatnot by the Skrulls, and like there's been a total like infiltration. And I feel like it hits more. Like they could show as many politicians being like actual lizards or whatnot, like as much as they want, but like it hits more when you have like, oh shoot, like the Falcon is actually a Skrull, or like who still is an Avenger these days? Like Hawkeye is like in fact like I wouldn't be surprised if they would be announcing like, oh, so and so is reprising their role, so and so's there's reprising their role, and it's just going to be like a who's who of who's real, who's not. Um, as for having Samuel Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn as the lead, I mean they're very reliable actors, so I'm intrigued to see. I wasn't the biggest fan, I'll admit, of Ben Mendelsohn as what's his face from Captain Marvel, but Samuel Jackson there as the helm at the helm of it, I think that's going to be a fun time. It's Samuel Jackson.
Right. And was it in Captain Marvel that they set this up?
It's in Far From Home.
Far
Far From
From
Home.
Home?
When
Far
they
From
had that
Home, you're
post
right.
credit scene.
Right. Um, so I'll be really curious as to how this is working.
Mhm.
Like, have the Skrulls already realized that, or the good sect of Skrulls at least, that they have it by Far From Home that Skrulls have infiltrated Earth?
Right.
Um, and I'm curious how, if these characters, these big Marvel characters, are revealed to be Skrulls, like how that's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Like, what if we got a moment where Captain America came back, right? And we are confused how he was old now.
Yeah.
What if the person who handed Sam that shield, we are like, well, how did he get a new shield? What if he was a Skrull,
Right. Right.
right? I don't think they'd do that because I think that would take away from the moment the Cap has
That
at
would
the
be a
end,
severe mistake in my opinion.
right? But that leads into my question of, can revealing some of these characters as Skrulls lead down a road you don't want to lead down?
Well, here's like my second thing was that like how does this work within the overall plan? Because I know for me, like the multiverse appears to be Marvel's thing right now. It's like, all right, that's encapsulating everything. But then you throw in the fact that like, oh, like half these characters might not even be real. You're kind of like, oh shoot, like how like that's a hell of a bomb to drop. And like I don't know, I feel like I don't know, like I'm trying to like I feel like Captain Marvel 2 has to come out first before this in order to accurately set it up, or at least something has to come before this because Captain Marvel, like we haven't seen Skrulls since like the 90s. They only just reappeared in Far From Home. So like they're gonna have to explain like, oh yeah, like Skrulls came back. They have to explain why they came back. They have to explain their agenda. They have to explain the fact that like now maybe the Avengers are compromised, and that like I don't know, like Samuel L. Jackson kind of must have known what was happening at the end of Far From Home. So like I feel like they have to like explain that. They just have to introduce like one or two movies to like establish that plot line, because this is a huge thing to like you said, this will like really like shake up like who's who, and like how much of what we've seen is actually the characters we've been seeing.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I'm really curious about how they're going to play that out. what characters are going to be coming back, because I have a feeling a lot of big characters will be coming back, because you can't have Secret Invasion. I mean, the Russo brothers talk.
Yeah.
We'll get to the Russo brothers in a second. They talked about how this is, and it's well known, this is one of the biggest storylines in all of Marvel Comics.
Right.
And I'm like, you want this to be a series? Like, this better be the biggest budgeted series you ever had.
Yeah, it has to be the longest series too. Like you can't pull that 8 episode nonsense that they did with Mandalorian, but different shows altogether.
Right. I mean, my question, I have two. One, do you think a Secret Invasion series will lead to a Secret Invasion movie?
Mm-hmm.
Like the next Avengers movie will be a Secret Invasion.
All right. I don't even know how they're gonna deal with their multiverse stuff. So like the fact that the idea that these two things could be happening at the same time, I'm like, this universe is like a whole like banquet of problems they're gonna have to like go through right now. So I feel like that would make more sense. I'm just like the idea of like Doctor Strange is trying to fix the multiverse at the same time. Like politicians are getting body snatched by lizards. It's like, oh my god, there's so much happening. How does this all like connect type thing? So I can't say right now. I feel like this is one of the more random like shows to announce in the midst of what everything else they seem to be doing. But I mean, no, it's just a matter of like wait until we see it.
Now, let's say this is just a series, or if it's a series that leads into Avengers movie that's based on Secret Invasion. The Russo brothers had previously said that was their favorite storyline, and it was like the one thing they'd come back to do. Now, do you think they're coming back to do either the Secret Invasion series or possibly an Avengers 5 Secret Invasion movie?
I wouldn't be surprised if they either one manifested this show by bringing it up in like interviews, or if they were like be like, maybe if we like if they were already like deliberately hinting at it by like directly hinting at it, because like I mean they're like the Russo brothers are like kind of like Marvel's main directors, like really like they've helmed the biggest projects thus far. So I mean I wouldn't be surprised if they show up. I wouldn't be surprised if like one brother each took like an episode of Secret Invasion just so they could be involved in it. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, yeah, we're coming back, to Marvel for, whatever project because of this.
Yeah. So let's move on now that we've kind of gotten everything there to what's going to be connected to that.
Mhm.
And that's Ironheart, that they said is going to connect into Secret Invasion. I'll be curious how. I'm not familiar with the character,
Mhm.
but it's going to revolve around the genius inventor Riri Williams, who has one of the most advanced suits of armor since Iron Man.
Mhm.
And we know that Dominique Thorne will play the title role. For those of you that don't know, like me about 10 minutes ago, she's in If Beale Street Could Talk and the upcoming movie Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya and oh my gosh, Lakeith Stanfield.
Right.
Which will be coming out on HBO Max next year. What are your thoughts on? I know it's hard because we haven't seen If Beale Street Could Talk yet. I know it's on both of our lists. But what are your thoughts on hearing about this Ironheart, and kind of sounds like a version of Iron Man, right, as a character coming back?
I'm on the fence. On the bad side, on the negative side, I'm kind of like milking with this and Armor Wars. I'm like they kind of still trying to milk that like Tony Stark legacy type thing, which like I mean like is important because is such a big character, but like we got that in Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones, Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm reading the Wikipedia page for Riri Williams, and that's where I saw it. Not Jessica Jones in Far From Home, and we also going to be seeing it in Armor Wars. So I feel like Ironheart was kind of like a one too many type thing, but also like on the other hand, like black young black like STEM like folk STEM like engineer like character, like that's such a cool character to have like on screen for like people to see. So for that I think that's exciting, and for that I think a lot of people are gonna like be inspired by her. I'm just like between this Armor Wars and Far From Home, I'm like you have to pick one or the other because like it feels like they're just kind of pushing the whole like Stark legacy like a bit too much for me. At least in the like Far From Home came out last year, and last year, and then like we're gonna be seeing Ironheart and Armor Wars over the next few years. It just feels like a lot is happening concerning this one concept that like a bit too soon for me.
It's a really interesting point you bring up because with Spider-Man, it made sense, right?
Yeah.
Tony was like a father figure to Spider-Man.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think when you fight Thanos twice, I think that's kind of a experience that brings you together when he's someone who's looked after you for the
Right.
past couple of years.
Mhm.
And he saved his life. I mean, Tony saved Spider-Man's life multiple times.
Right.
It's like I understand why the legacy looms over him.
Mhm.
And the whole story is about him. You know, it's John Favreau as Happy's last line, or not last line, but it's a line to him saying, like, "You're never gonna be Iron Man. Like, just be who you are," right? And that's what we want Spider-Man to be. I don't think anyone really wants Spider-Man to like be the next Iron Man, right?
Right.
That
Right.
would kind of suck.
Mhm.
Let's just be honest. Because Spider-Man, it's just not who the
Yeah.
character is.
Yeah. He's his own character. He doesn't need it.
But I like how he has that kind of crisis of like that identity crisis. But I'm curious with Ironheart how that's going to play in, because Tony Stark's so great that it's like, why do we need another person in an armored suit, right? Why can't we get a different type of hero?
Right.
You know, I could watch the first episode and be like, never mind, everything I said was wrong.
Right. Exactly.
Um, but I'm really curious how this is going to turn out. I just don't know at this point. I don't know how she's going to be introduced. Is she creating this armor on her own? Like, there's so many questions and there's so little we know about the series. I'm just curious how it's going to connect into Secret Invasion.
Right. Yeah. Like you would think this would connect to like Armor Wars for like, obvious reasons, but like um I don't know, isn't it just like kind of like what's been happening on The Mandalorian, no spoilers there, but like um just the way they kind of able to like crisscross, different aspects of the universe and have them like build on each other. Um I'm intrigued to see how that happens because for me this wouldn't be the first one. I'd assume like, oh yeah, this property is going to connect to Secret Invasion. Like it's I don't know what I'd say, was more likely, but this was unexpected. But I'm intrigued to see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up this video talking about the Disney Investors Day meeting with Secret Invasion, one of the biggest storylines of all time, and Ironheart. Let us know what you think is going to happen in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.